Part 88. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 871. Swish, brush, brush. For a moment, everyone's eyes fell on Wang Yangming. Wang Yangming. Su Mo obviously knew Wang Yangming. He was slightly dissatisfied with Wang Yangming taking away the soul power of Emperor Yanlong. He frowned and said, "What are you doing? Release the soul of Emperor Yanlong quickly. I will blast it dispersed. If this happens, the Yanlong immortal emperor outside the territory will definitely be affected and his strength will be greatly reduced." Su Mo. Wang Yangming met Su Mo's gaze, shook his head and said, "Don't worry about this. I have my own arrangements for his soul. Believe me, I've left out everything. This thing can play its greatest role in my hands," Wang Yangming said seriously. "What does it mean to leave nothing out?" Su Mo didn't buy it and said coldly, "Humph, I'm going to severely injure the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor now." With that said, Su Mo took a step forward, intending to snatch it and then destroy it himself. "Brother Su." At this moment, Su Wuji stood up, stopped Su Mo, and persuaded, "Listen to Wang Yangming, Immortal Emperor Yanlong has done many evil things, and he will pay the price sooner or later. There is no need to rush, just give me some face." Su Mo looked at Su Wuji with a complicated expression, but finally nodded. Su Wuji and Su Mo have a deep friendship, and Su Mo is ashamed of Su Wuji. At first, most of what Su Mo and Su Yang said are true. When Su Mo was in trouble, it was Su Wuji who saved him. There is no way he can repay his life-saving grace. But later, in order to quickly become stronger, Su Mo embarked on a path of no return, which caused a great impact. He even disowned his relatives, turned against Su Wuji, and almost killed Su Wuji with the power of the devil. Later, Immortal Emperor Xiantian took action, intending to kill Su Mo, but Su Wuji begged for mercy, and Su Mo saved his life. Therefore, now that Su Wuji stood up to plead for mercy, Su Mo had no reason to refute what he said. Back then. At this time, Su Mo hesitated, feeling very embarrassed. There is no need to mention the past. Su Wuji smiled heartily, and then said, "Now we have the same goal, and we are still brothers. Immortal Emperor Yanlong destroyed your whole family and has a deep hatred. I know you can't forget it, but you have to wait a little longer." Su Mo nodded, accepting what Su Wuji said, and stepped aside without saying more. Wang Yangming. Su Yang came over at this time and said with a puzzled face, "What is the use of taking away the soul power? Tell me. The matter is too important to say now." Wang Yangming shook his head and told Su Yang seriously, "When the time comes, you will know." It was rare for Su Yang to see Wang Yangming take it seriously, so he did not continue to ask. Buzz. At this moment, a strange phenomenon suddenly appeared in the sky above the desolate desert, and the entire space was shaking. Su Yang and everyone present looked up in a hurry. I saw a hole suddenly opened high in the sky, as if it had been stabbed. All around, there is a dense light, like a dream, setting off the surrounding like a fairyland. At the same time, strands of spiritual energy poured out from the mouth and poured out in all directions. "Is this, the spiritual energy about to revive?" Su Yang said excitedly with a trembling voice. "Right." Wang Yangming nodded and said, "But the recovery has not been completely successful. The recovery of spiritual energy needs a process, which takes about 10 minutes. It will take 10 minutes for the global spiritual energy to recover. If it is interrupted during this process, the recovery will be terminated. It is unknown when it will be activated next time." Wang Yangming reminded, "So, what we have to do now is to guard this place and not let anyone get close, otherwise the layout we have built for 100 years will fall short. After the spiritual energy is revived, Is it possible for those of us at the peak of quasi-emperors to directly step into the true imperial realm with the accumulation of so many years? At this time, Suemo asked. The highest realm he has reached in this life is the quasi-emperor peak. At first, Suemo was at his quasi-emperor peak and forced the Yanlong immortal emperor to leave the earth. In his heart, he was full of longing for the true imperial realm, and naturally he couldn't calm down at this moment. No. Wang Yangming shook his head and said, as far as I know, the earth is different from other star fields. It is very special here. There seems to be some mysterious Tao rules. In other star regions, multiple emperors can coexist. Every quasi-emperor at the peak has the opportunity to become an emperor. But the earth is very different. Here, once someone sets foot in the imperial realm, the remaining quasi-emperor peaks, no matter how monstrous their talents are and how deep their accumulation is, will not be able to advance to the imperial realm. Wang Yangming continued, I once heard Zilong mention that this is imperial realm suppression. The earth's imperial realm is the real imperial realm, which controls the laws of the great Dao. If you set foot in the imperial realm on earth, it will cause the great Dao to suppress you. As long as you are on earth, you cannot escape the great Dao's suppression. Wang Yangming continued, during the immortal Qin period, there were countless disciples in Gigo. There were so many amazing and talented quasi-emperors, but only Zilong had set foot in the true imperial realm. This is Dao suppression. As long as the ancestral dragon is here, no one can successfully advance to the imperial realm. It's the same now. The earth already has the imperial realm. None of us here have the chance to advance to the imperial realm. Wang Yangming told everything he knew as if telling a story. Imperial realm suppression, I also know about this. Shangyang nodded in agreement, and then seemed to grasp the key point, and said in shock, wait a minute, what did you just say, that the earth already has the imperial realm? Yeah, Wang Yangming nodded. Who? Shangyang asked, wanting to know who it was. Perhaps you can ask Su Yang about this question. He has met the emperor-level experts on earth. Wang Yangming smiled, then threw the question to Su Yang, and said, Brother Su, the matter is over, it's okay to say it, we are all our own people here. Su Yang nodded lightly, and then said, the real emperor, everyone in the immortal Qin period must know him, he is, Jingke. Jingke. When Shangyang heard this, he paused slightly, and then said in disbelief, impossible, this is absolutely impossible. Absolutely true. Su Yang explained, some time ago, I met Jingke at the foot of Jufeng Mountain. He cultivated into a demon and was trapped by a formation, unable to escape, but he is indeed an emperor, a true emperor. Since he has entered the imperial realm, why is he still trapped? Suemo next to him asked in confusion, who can trap him? I. Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose, and then said, it's either the ancestral dragon or the Xiantian immortal emperor. In short, it has something to do with me. I see. Bai Qi nodded in agreement, and then said, Jingke's talent was definitely at the level of a monster during the Xian Qin period. He reached the pinnacle of quasi-emperor in the shortest time, and at the peak of quasi-emperor, he could shake the ancestor's dragon, forced Zilong to use all his strength. I am more convinced that he has reached the imperial realm. This is impossible. But Shangyang was still in disbelief, and then said seriously, because, Jingke was already dead after he failed to assassinate Zilong. I saw with my own eyes that his soul was gone and there was no chance of survival. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 872. Died. Jingke is actually dead. Everyone at the scene was surprised when they heard this, especially Su Yang, who was extremely shocked. If Jingke is really dead, then who is the Emperor Realm strongman I saw at the foot of Jufeng Mountain some time ago? Su Yang frowned. Not sure. Shangyang said firmly, but I can be sure that Jinkei has been dead for 2,000 years. Jinkei is a man who must be strong throughout his life and pay attention to integrity. He failed to assassinate Xiaolong and was injured by Xiaolong. Shangyang said eloquently, but Xiaolong did not kill him, but chose to let him go, as if this never happened. Because Xiaolong is already the strongest in the world, a true peak powerhouse, in his eyes, Jink seems insignificant. In other words, Xiaolong has never really regarded Jink as an opponent, but more as a junior. Xiaolong also knows that Jinkei is extremely talented. If it weren't for the fact that he stepped into the Emperor realm and suppressed the Great Dao, Jinkei would definitely be the youngest Emperor realm expert in the history of the Earth. Unfortunately, there is no what if in this world. If the ancestral dragon becomes the Emperor, Jinkei will not be able to take the ultimate step. Shangyang continued, Xiaolong cherishes talents and does not want to kill talented people, so even if Jinkei wanted to kill him, he still let Jinkei go. Jinkei was moved by Xiaolong and put aside his prejudice against Xiaolong, but he could not forget his mission and finally chose to commit suicide, destroying both body and soul. Shangyang continued, I know this very well, because I was at the scene at the time. It was too late for Xiaolong to stop him. This is actually happening. Su Yang frowned deeply and said doubtfully, since Jinkei is dead, then the man in Jufeng Mountain must not be Jinkei. Then who is he and why did he pretend to be Jinkei and lie to me? Your Majesty Xiaolong, can you still remember the appearance of that man and share it with me? Shangyang said, after the ancestral dragon left the earth, the suppression of the Great Avenue ended. Dozens of quasi-emperors at the peak wanted to step into the true imperial realm, but they all failed. Since that person is one step ahead of us and has occupied the imperial realm, he may be an old acquaintance. Shangyang expressed his opinion. Good. Bai Qi also said, His Majesty Xiaolong, the quasi-emperor of the immortal Qin period, is probably a member of our sect, and maybe we know him. When Su Yang heard this, he nodded, then made a secret with his hands, and shared his memory of the horror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain with Shangyang and Bai Qi. This person. After Shangyang saw the man's appearance, he frowned slightly, I have never seen him before, he is too unfamiliar. Junior brother Bai Qi, have you ever come into contact with this person? Shangyang asked Bai Qi next to him. Never. Bai Qi shook his head and continued, however, he does have a bit of Jinkei's aura, but his appearance is far from Jinkei. Good. Shangyang nodded and said, Jinkei practiced a shocking sword. In the end, the sword went sideways and became a bit possessed. However, he is determined and can completely control the murderous sword in his hand. The aura of the man at the foot of Jufeng Mountain is indeed similar to Jinkei. It can even be said that they are the same. Shangyang continued, but there is something wrong with his expression. Before, he was a sharp sword. Even when he saw an immortal, he never bowed his head. He even dared to compete with the immortal and made the immortal bend down. No one could shake him. His faith. When Su Yang heard this, he was full of expectations for that day. But I have no memory of the first life at all, and I also lost part of the memory of the second life. At this time, Su Yang looked at Wang Yangming and suddenly asked, I was the ancestral dragon in my first life, and the Xiantian immortal emperor in my second life. Shangyang looked at Su Yang and asked respectfully, Your Majesty Xiaolong, are you sure he has been promoted to the imperial realm? Su Mo stood next to Su Yang. Obviously he would listen to Su Yang's words at critical moments. Seeing this, Su Yang frowned slightly, always feeling a little uneasy. Brother Su, why are you so confused about this? He said he is Jinkei, so we can just treat him as Jinkei. Brother Su, you can't rely on others, you can only rely on yourself. At this time, the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor is very likely to tear through the defenses and enter the earth. You will step onto the imperial realm with an invincible attitude and become the first person under the starry sky. Wang Yangming did not hide it, but said, actually, these memories are all in your mind, they are just sealed. Well, I can't be mistaken about this. He is undoubtedly an emperor. Having said this, Su Yang looked at Wang Yangming, who had always remained silent, and asked, Wang Yangming, do you know him? Our lineup here is quite strong. Those young people outside will definitely not dare to break in. The main thing is to be careful of the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Su Yang nodded and said, what Wang Yangming said makes sense, everyone should be careful. Wang Yangming met Su Yang's gaze, smiled softly and said, what we have to do now is to be careful about the Yanlong Immortal Emperor. During the activation of spiritual energy recovery, the defense of the Hunyuan formation that protects the earth will be affected and become weak. Reviving spiritual energy, is it so easy to succeed? By the way, Wang Yangming. Yes. It was with this will that he barely managed to hurt Zilong. But now, he has lost this will and seems to be controlled by the devil. At this moment, the spiritual energy recovery speed accelerated, and the majestic spiritual energy spurted out. That's it? Shang Yang and Bai Qi heard Su Yang speak, so they said nothing more and obeyed Su Yang's orders. Only you can open the seal and integrate the memories of 3 generations. The entire desert was covered with dense aura, and then, endless spiritual energy, centered on Jiangbei, continued to flow in all directions. Wang Yangming said meaningfully, but I know that when you merge the memories of the 3 generations, it will be the day you break through the imperial realm. Su Yang asked doubtfully, do you think there is any way to restore my memory? Wang Yangming reminded, we must stop him and not let him interfere with the recovery of spiritual energy. One more thing, he told me that in my first life, Zilong made him hide from the world in order to cope with the resurgence of spiritual energy at this moment. After playing for a while, he turned to analysis, I guess that he may have been through the tribulation. Although he succeeded, he was severely injured, causing him to be awake and possessed at times. Suwuji was seriously injured before, but he has taken the old medicine and the problem is not serious anymore. He can just cultivate himself and cultivate himself. I don't know. Do you know how to open the seal, or when can it be opened? Su Yang asked. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 873. The depletion of the Earth's spiritual energy did not happen overnight. It has been 2,000 years old. Ever since the ancestral dragon tore through the void and left the Earth's spiritual energy began to dry up. At first, some people suspect that this is the action of Emperor Yanlong. The purpose of depleting the Earth's spiritual energy is to reduce the number of powerful people on the Earth so that he can better control the Earth. But later everyone discovered that this was not something Yanlong Immortal Emperor could control at all, but the power of the laws of heaven, which no one could change or stop. Once the spiritual energy begins to dry up, this star field will gradually weaken and eventually be completely destroyed, and a new era will begin. The cycle goes on and on, never ending. Whether it is the Long family or the 11 family where Zhao belongs, the martyrs in their families were the strongest beings in their respective eras. But even so, they could not resist the destruction of the era, and eventually disappeared along with the era. Only the Long clan and the ancestors of the 11 family noticed something strange and left their inheritance. Throughout the ages, in so many eras, most powerful families have truly disappeared in the destruction of eras, which is sad. More than 2,000 years ago, Zilong sensed the changes in the earth and the mastermind behind it, so he left the earth. The fact is just as Yanlong Immortal Emperor expected, in the past 2,000 years, the earth's spiritual energy has become increasingly scarce, and today, it is already very weak. But, today, under the arrangements of ancestral dragon and a few powerful people on Earth, the Earth is showing signs of spiritual energy recovery. As long as the spiritual energy is successfully revived, the Earth will escape the destruction of this era and re-enter the Golden Age. This is something that goes against the will of heaven, and the difficulty involved is naturally self-evident. However, at this moment, the spiritual energy recovery practice began, and it was about to succeed. But Su Yang and his party have not done anything yet they can easily see the spiritual energy reviving. This made Su Yang a little unbelievable. There must be a demon when something went wrong, so he had a vague premonition of ominousness, and it was very strong. Weird. The same was true for Su Wazi next to him. He frowned and said, "My master once said that the recovery of spiritual energy is a turning point for the earth. It is extremely difficult. Why is it so easy to succeed now? The sole power of immortal Emperor Yanlong has been defeated. He must know our existence." Shang Yang analyzed, "Immortal Emperor Yanlong will definitely not come to Earth rashly without complete preparations. Except for the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor, no one on Earth has the strength to stop it." Shang Yang held a trace of luck and said with hope, "Perhaps, the spiritual energy recovery will really be achieved." Bai Qi and Su Mo didn't speak, obviously they had relaxed their vigilance. Wang Yangming, who was not far away, smiled softly and said, "If the spiritual energy recovery can be successful, it is the best result, and it doesn't have to be a twists and turns." "That makes sense." Suwaji nodded, and then said, "If the current development continues, the spiritual energy recovery will be fully activated in 2 minutes at most." "Good." Wang Yangming smiled and said, "So, everyone, hurry up and meditate. As far as I know, when the spiritual energy recovery first begins, a source of spiritual energy will be produced between heaven and earth, which is extremely pure. The place where the source of spiritual energy was born is here. How much we can absorb depends on everyone's luck. You guys chat first, I won't be polite. Although there is suppression by the Emperor realm and the earth does not allow a second person to set foot in the Imperial realm, if one absorbs the source of spiritual energy, it is inevitable that the strength will increase." After saying that, Wang Yangming sat cross-legged, with his eyes slightly closed, and quickly entered a state of cultivation. "His Majesty." When Bai Qi and Shang Yang heard this, they looked at Su Yang at the same time and asked for Su Yang's opinion. Su Yuyu looked at Su Yang, puzzled. "Dad, do you know what's going on?" Su Yang said uncertainly, then rubbed his daughter's little head and smiled softly. "Yuyu, you have become so powerful now, do you have any insights?" Su Yuyu was in a good mood after being praised by her father. Then she thought of something, so she asked curiously, "By the way, Dad, I heard what the uncle said about Xiaolan's origin just now." In this way, Su Yang and Su Yuyu were the only two people left at the scene who were not practicing. Su Yuyu's little face was full of doubts, and then she asked, "But, he said that at that time, Zilong was already in the Emperor realm, and he was the best in the Emperor realm. The earth is suppressed by the Emperor realm, and 2 Emperor realms are not allowed to appear at the same time. So how do my first generation ancestral dragon and Xianyuan god coexist? I only rely on Xiaolan to become so strong. Without Xiaolan, I am nothing." At this point, Su Yuyu gritted her teeth and said, "But, Dad, one day, I will become stronger and defeat all the bad guys. When the time comes, I will protect you. If Xianyuan divine spirit is more powerful than Zilong, then he must be at the imperial level." Su Yang was stunned. Just now, his mind was on the recovery of spiritual energy, and he didn't notice it. He only realized it after hearing what Su Yuyu said. Unreasonable. No. Therefore, there will never be 2 emperors in the earth at the same time. If one becomes the emperor, the others, no matter how outstanding they are, will never be able to set foot in the emperor again. Yes. If this is the case, among the 3,000 disciples of the Gigo sect, there were many talented people during the immortal Qin period. Why have they not set foot in the imperial realm? Suyuyu continued to raise doubts, but didn't the man named Wang Yangming say that the Earth's imperial realm is suppressed by the imperial realm's laws? Very unreasonable. Because Suyuyu said happily, we will succeed soon. You should also practice the source of spiritual energy. It sounds like the effect should be good. Su Yang nodded. He said that Xiaolan was made by Zilong for the woman he loved. That woman's name is Xianyuan Shengsui. He also said that Xianyuan Shenxian is even more powerful than Zilong. This has broken the laws of the earth and is beyond human control. Bai Qi and Shang Yang, after receiving Su Yang's permission, both entered the state of cultivation. Hey. Yes. Su Yang was puzzled, so his eyes fell on Wang Yangming, who was practicing. Maybe. Wang Yangming sensed Su Yang's gaze and did not hide anything. He opened his mouth with shocking news. Xianyuan Shengsu is not from the earth. She comes from outside the territory. Moreover, Xianyuan Shengsu learned that Zilong's second reincarnation has entered the reincarnation, and started the second life of the reincarnation in the third life. She also gave up her path to the imperial realm, entered reincarnation, and was reborn in Jufeng Mountain and named. That's not right either. Suyuyu shook her head and said, I was a little proud at first, but slowly I became sober. Dad. The same goes for Su Mo and Su Wuzi. Haha, Yu is ambitious, unlike that bastard Su Xing who always wants to be a gangster. Su Yang praised with a smile. Could it be that in that era, multiple emperors could coexist on Earth? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 874. Thousands of mountains of snow. Before Wang Yangming finished speaking, Su Yang vaguely guessed something and hurriedly said, Shue'er. Wang Yangming, Xianyuan God is Shue'er. Xianyuan God knows. Su Yang had already learned from Bai Qi that Xianyuan Shenzhen was a well-deserved proud daughter of heaven. She was extremely talented and outstanding, unrivaled in ancient and modern times. Back then, she even took one step ahead of her ancestors and left the earth to look for a chance of life outside the territory. Today, although the identity of the Great Terror in Jufeng Mountain is unknown, he must be at the imperial level. But Jian Shangxu's physical body can suppress the Great Terror of the imperial realm. This shows that Jian Shangxu has an extraordinary origin. So when Wang Yangming mentioned Jufeng Mountain, Su Yang's first reaction was to think that Jian Shan Snow was the Xianyuan god. Only in this way will Jian Shangxu have the ability to suppress the Great Terror of the imperial realm with his physical body. Good. Wang Yangming always kept his eyes slightly closed, and said while practicing, Jian Shan Snow is the Xianyuan god. She has been searching hard outside the realm for many years, traveling through 3,000 star realms, but she has never found a way to break through the imperial realm and enter a higher realm. Wang Yangming continued, so, she returned to the earth and planned to cooperate with Zilong to save the earth in another way, which is to revive the spiritual energy. Originally, she planned to break through to the imperial realm, have the strength to fight against the mastermind behind him, and kill him once and for all. But it's a pity that she can't succeed. As long as the spiritual energy is revived, the earth will enter the golden age, transition from decline to prosperity, and naturally there will be no more eras. Wang Yangming continued, so, she entered reincarnation and devoted herself to becoming Jian Shan Snow. Brother Su, Jian Shangxu is different from you. Your soul has entered reincarnation and practiced again. But she used a secret technique to preserve her body and strength and reincarnate directly. Wang Yangming continued, you need to become stronger step by step, but Xianyuan Shenshui is different. As long as she opens her memory, she will reach the peak in an instant. How to open the memory? Su Yang asked hurriedly. Nowadays, Qian Shangxiu lay alone at the foot of Jufeng Mountain, using his body to suppress the unidentified terror of the imperial realm. If he was not careful, his life would be in danger. But if Qian Shangxiu awakens her memory at this time and possesses the power of Xianyuan God, then the horror of the emperor realm will no longer be scary. I don't know. Wang Yangming shook his head, then stopped talking and continued to operate the technique. Su Yang didn't ask further questions. He didn't believe in Wang Yangming, but believed in his own judgment in his second life. Since immortal Emperor Xiantian told his great-grandfather that Wang Yangming was trustworthy, Su Yang believed him. What Su Yang believed was not Wang Yangming, but his own original judgment. The spiritual energy was revived, and it was about to succeed. It was just a step away. At this time, the majestic spiritual energy had spread throughout Jiangbei. Not only that, the endless spiritual energy is radiating around the world with Jiangbei as the center. Aura, such a rich aura. Ha ha ha, the spiritual energy has been revived successfully. The earth is about to enter a golden age. Don't worry, it's still a little bit close. It is said that after the spiritual energy is revived, the ominousness will be broken. At that time, everyone can ignore the ominousness and reach a higher realm, but now the oppressive power of the ominous omen is still there. When the spiritual energy revives, doesn't it produce a source of spiritual energy? Do we want to stop dreaming and wake up? Didn't you see those people who just entered? Which one is easy to mess with? Yeah, I guess if any one of them takes a blow, we'll all be finished without taking action. Outside the cave, a group of people were talking. Among the crowd, Kui Long always stared at the entrance of the cave, but never dared to enter. The flame dragon immortal emperor did not prevent the spiritual energy from reviving. This is impossible. Could it be that he... Suddenly, Kui Long made a bold guess. Could it be that Emperor Yanlong was killed? This possibility is extremely high. From the standpoint of the flame dragon immortal emperor, he would definitely not allow the spiritual energy to be revived successfully and would definitely stop it. But up to now, the spiritual energy recovery is still going on. There is only one possibility, that is, the flame dragon immortal emperor has been killed. Who in the cave actually has the strength to kill the Yanlong immortal emperor? Although it is just a trace of the Yanlong immortal emperor's soul hidden in Mr. Fengzi's body, its power cannot be underestimated. Kui Long couldn't help but guess, the last two people who entered the cave just now have unfathomable strength. Could it be that they joined forces to kill the Yanlong immortal emperor? Before, Kui Long hid in the crowd and witnessed Shang Yang and Su Mo entering the cave one after another. At that time, he didn't realize the strength of the two people, he only felt that they were extremely powerful. 3. The long sword released a powerful sense of oppression, sweeping the entire place and filling the sky with dust. He mixed in the crowd, intending to take advantage of the fishermen, but now he realized that if he were a fisherman, there would be powerful lions biting him in the cave. Kui Long showed a wry smile, then shook his head and said, "Hey, forget it, I won't fight for the source of spiritual energy. I can advance to the Imperial realm simply by relying on the resources given to me by the Dragon clan, so I'd better be on the safe side. At that time, a prosperous earth can be opened, where everyone is like a dragon. Due to time constraints, the recovery of spiritual energy is only 0.1 seconds away, just this last small step. But what he doesn't know is that the earth is suppressed by the Emperor realm. As long as the earth's Emperor realm does not die, it is impossible to set foot in the Emperor realm. The Hunyuan Wuji formation is really powerful. Even at its weakest period, it still cost me a lot of trouble. 9. Kui Long was full of confidence, and then he jumped away from the scene. He no longer coveted the source of spiritual energy, and planned to go into seclusion for 100 years, and appear in the invincible imperial realm. I'm still too weak. So. No matter, let me hide for a while. If the spiritual energy is successfully revived, the earth will enter the golden age. With my qualifications, I will be able to set foot in the imperial realm in 100 years. But at the critical moment, a hole suddenly opened in the sky, and a long red sword tore open the space, appearing on the desolate desert. First a loud voice came, and then, a man wearing red armor walked out of the crack, holding a red sword with one hand, standing in the air, looking down at everyone present. Now. 2. Last second. The most terrifying thing is that at this moment, time is suspended. 8. Kuei Long did not enter the cave. After all, he was an outsider, so as not to be besieged. This long sword exudes terrifying power, with mysterious lines all over its body. Even if the other party is seriously injured, he is not qualified to be a fisherman. In just this second, the spiritual energy recovery will be completely successful, ending the age of destruction. Fortunately, 2 minutes are about to pass, and the spiritual energy recovery can finally be successful. 10. But, why do I feel that there is a faint pressure between heaven and earth, which seems to prevent me from setting foot in the imperial realm? What kind of pressure is this? 1. But fortunately, I am not too late. Now that I am here, my spiritual energy will be revived. It's just a wishful thinking. Boom. The power of the law of time, the terrifying ability that only the Emperor realm possesses. These 2 minutes passed very slowly, and every second was extremely painful for Su Yang. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 875. The long sword flies across the sky, and the armor is added to the body. The real flame dragon immortal emperor, the one who shattered the void and passed through the earth's protective formation, is here. His appearance was covered by a battle armor helmet, with only a pair of eyes exposed. At this moment, immortal Emperor Yanlong had countless flames beating around his body. With him as the center, a terrifying high temperature filled the entire place. The powerful quasi-emperors present were naturally fine, but Su Yang was different, his whole body was burning hot. Simply, the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion emerged from his body and protected him from being burned. Flaming Dragon Immortal Emperor. Su Mo below saw the Yanlong Immortal Emperor, his eyes were filled with rage, and he stared at the Yanlong Immortal Emperor. It's you. Since the soul of the Yanlong Immortal Emperor was taken away by Wang Yangming just now, the real Yanlong Immortal Emperor at this moment did not know what happened before. He stared at Su Mo coldly and said angrily, "Humph, back then you took me, the heavy damage forced me to leave the earth, and it's time to settle this debt." "Haha, I should be the one to say this," Su Mo said in a deep voice. But this time, he did not take the initiative, but stared at the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor warily. Because Su Mo has noticed that the Yanlong Immortal Emperor in front of him is not a quasi-emperor, but a true emperor. This realm is too terrifying and cannot be competed by oneself. "Emperor Yanlong, have you entered the earth as an emperor now?" At this moment, Su Wuji looked at Emperor Yanlong and asked solemnly. "Good." Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled softly and said, "I have been waiting for this opportunity for all these years. You hope that the spiritual energy will be revived. In fact, I also hope that this day will come soon." Immortal Emperor Yanlong continued, "Because only in the process of spiritual energy recovery, Hunyuan Wuji's defense ability will be greatly reduced. As long as I seize the opportunity, I will definitely be able to enter the earth in full glory." Immortal Emperor Yanlong said with a playful smile, "Today, I finally got my wish, haha. The previous Mr. Fengzi, he is dead. Part of your soul power controls his body and has been conquered by us." Su Wuji said coldly, "Now that you are missing part of your soul, how can you be at your peak?" "Haha, that idiot in Fengzi is just a chess piece I used to create a maze." Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled softly and said, "As for part of my soul, with your methods, it will definitely not be destroyed. At most, it can be controlled. Now that I am here with the strength of the Emperor, you are not worthy of being my opponent. Taking back your soul is as easy as picking something out of a bag. As soon as these words came out, the faces of everyone present turned ugly, and they lowered their heads and remained silent. The gap between the Emperor realm and the Quasi-Emperor is too big. As soon as immortal Emperor Yanlong appeared, he emptied time and made time stand still. This method is too outrageous. Bai Qi, Shang Yang, Su Emo, and even Su Wuji felt extremely heavy at this moment. Emperor realm. He. At this time, Su Yang smiled disdainfully and said, Immortal Emperor Yanlong, you don't have to pretend in front of me. Do you really think I can't see that you are currently just a soul body, and your realm is suppressed by the laws of the earth, so you are not a true Quasi-Emperor? Xiantian Immortal Emperor. Hearing Su Yang's voice, Immortal Emperor Yanlong's eyes fell on Su Yang, and he smiled softly, haha, I haven't seen you for more than 100 years, why are you so bad at it now? Peak divine transformation, ha ha ha, even if I'm not a real emperor, even if I'm just a soul, it's still not a problem if I want to crush the whole crowd. Immortal Emperor Yanlong said confidently, at that time, I will destroy this place, and your illusion of spiritual energy recovery, let the earth return to peace, and enter the era of destruction, haha. Your Majesty, what's going on? He is a soul body now, at this time, Bai Qi asked next to him. It's weird. It's weird. Shang Yang was also very confused and asked curiously, Your Majesty, he is obviously flesh and blood and not a pure soul. Are you wrong? No. Su Yang shook his head, and then explained, the Yanlong Immortal Emperor is at the pinnacle of the Emperor realm, and has been at the peak for many years. His soul power is extremely powerful, and he has practiced secret techniques, so he can leave his body. Even the soul after leaving the body is extremely solid, vaguely equivalent to the flesh and blood body. Su Yang continued, but what's fake is still fake after all. What we have in front of us now is indeed just the soul body. Also, the power of the earth's laws is very strong. Regardless of the body or soul of the flame dragon immortal emperor, as long as he comes to the earth, he will be punished. Good. When Su Emo heard this, he said, as far as I know, when Yanlong Immortal Emperor came to earth before, he was at the pinnacle of Quasi-Emperor. How come he has become an emperor this time? By the way, Su Yang, you said earlier that the Yanlong Immortal Emperor at this moment is not a true emperor. What do you mean? Su Emo said doubtfully, I clearly felt the pressure of the emperor realm from him. Also, he blocked time. This is an ability that only the Emperor realm has. How could it not be the Emperor realm? He is indeed not, but the red sword in his hand is an imperial weapon. Su Yang stared at the long sword in Emperor Yanlong's hand and added, moreover, it is an imperial weapon in its prime. If I guess correctly, there is another reason why the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor was able to come to Earth unscathed, besides the weakening of the protective formation. That is, he used his soul body to hide in the red sword, cut through the space, cut through many obstacles, and finally reached the Earth, Su Yang said. Good. Immortal Emperor Yanlong did not refute, and smiled softly, Immortal Emperor Xiantian, you have good taste. As you said, my ability to come to Earth depends entirely on this heavenly Emperor sword. Not all imperial weapons are suitable for hiding soul bodies. I searched all over the star fields before I got this heavenly Emperor sword. Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled and said, with a sword in my hand, I have the world. Immortal Emperor Xiantian, today, everyone here will die. From this moment on, the earth will enter an era that belongs to me. I will be the overlord here and control everything on earth, the destruction of eras, and reincarnation are all controlled by me alone, looking for opportunities to set foot on the imperial realm. You are dreaming. When Su Yang heard this, he took the lead to move, raised his arms, spread his palms, and said coldly, Hanju. Soul binding. This is a secret technique controlled by Su Yang, which specifically targets the power of the soul and can achieve miraculous effects. But this is also subject to limitations. The power of Yanlong Immortal Emperor's soul is simply too strong. With Su Yang's current strength, even if he uses soul binding, which has natural suppressive power, he still cannot cause any harm to the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Hee. Little tricks. Immortal Emperor Yanlong stood there with a playful smile on his lips, not paying attention to the soul-binding secret technique at all. I saw that Su Yang's soul-binding secret technique was unable to get close to the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor, and was directly blown away by the pressure released by the Emperor's sword. Su Yang himself suffered a backlash, spat out a pool of blood from his mouth, and took a few steps back. The Heavenly Emperor's sword is not only a powerful imperial weapon. The most special thing about it is that it is tempered by the 5 Thunder Genfa and contains several extremely powerful weapon refining materials. It is almost invulnerable to all attacks. Immortal Emperor Yanlong looked at Su Yang and smiled softly, let alone you now, even at your peak, if you want to destroy the Heavenly Emperor's sword, you will probably have to pay a certain price. If this were not the case, how could I dare to abandon my outer body and come to the earth in the state of my soul body? Having said this, Immortal Emperor Yanlong looked at Su Yang and sneered, I know all about your little tricks, so don't be wishful thinking. Although the soul confining technique restrains souls and can restrain souls across levels, the gap between you and me is too big now, and I have the Heavenly Emperor sword. You, no matter what, are not qualified to be my opponent. Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled playfully and said, speaking of which, Immortal Emperor Xiantian, you are not from the earth, so why would you choose to enter reincarnation and take such a big risk for the sake of the earth? Nothing to do with you. Su Yang didn't explain, he just sat cross-legged and performed the 9 nether prison suppression technique, hoping to quickly recover from his injuries. Death is imminent, and you still have a strong mouth. Haha, in that case, let me take you on your way. Immortal Emperor Yanlong sneered, then held the Heavenly Emperor's sword and killed Su Yang directly. His Majesty. Seeing this, Bai Qi and Shang Yang stopped caring about so much in order to protect Su Yang, and took action together to meet the Yanlong Immortal Emperor. Su Wuji and Su Mo did the same, each using powerful techniques. It is worth mentioning that Su Wuzi was seriously injured and has not recovered yet. But for Su Yang's sake, he didn't hesitate at all and directly forced himself to activate the selfless technique to put himself at peak condition in a short period of time. Hee. You're just an ant, but you still want to compete with the bright moon. Immortal Emperor Yanlong sneered when he saw the 4 people rushing towards him, and then he went up to them. In this way, the 5 people fought together. The scene was even more terrifying than before, and the aftermath of the battle wreaked havoc on the entire audience. Be careful, although the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor is a soul body and is not a true emperor, he has the Heavenly Emperor sword and can exert some abilities that are only available in the Emperor. While Su Yang was running the 9 nether prison suppression technique, he reminded, but we are not completely without a chance of winning. If I'm not wrong, in his current state, he won't be able to activate the Heavenly Emperor's sword too many times. As long as we hold him back, when he can no longer use the Heavenly Emperor's sword, it's time for us to counterattack. Su Yang continued, Wang Yangming, huh. While hissing, Su Yang suddenly discovered that Wang Yangming was missing. Where did Wang Yangming go? Su Yang couldn't help but ask. Did not notice. Su Yuya whispered, isn't he afraid, so he ran away in advance. Run away. Su Yang shook his head. If he was really scared, he didn't have to come. There was no need to make this trip. After thinking for a few seconds, Su Yang said, forget it, let him go, Yuya, just like before, just be the 6th man with peace of mind and take action at the critical moment. Yes, Dad, I understand. Su Yu nodded, ready to take action at any time. My strength is still too weak. Immortal Emperor Yanlong knows the formations. The 108 killing formations here are useless. After arranging everything, Su Yang smiled bitterly and said to himself, Wang Yangming said before that as long as I integrate the memories of 3 generations, I can become the strongest in the world. Fusion memory, what should I do to restore my previous memories? The more Su Yang thought about it, the more anxious he became. He recited the heart-cleaning mantra several times before calming down. Hope. At the foot of Jufeng Mountain. But now, their opponent is the soul body of the flame dragon Immortal Emperor and possesses the Heavenly Emperor sword. In addition to the realm, Wang Yangming also used a strange method to integrate the terrifying Imperial Realm body into one with himself. He has 2 clones, and the Great Terror is just one of them. I must stay steady, anxiousness will not solve any problem. After a few seconds of delay, Wang Yangming's body produced a suction force, and the Great Terror turned into red blood mist and gradually poured into Wang Yangming's body. Even if the 4 of them join forces, they cannot harm the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor in this state at all. My coming means that you will no longer be you, and you will no longer be an independent individual. A few minutes ago, he was in Jiangbei Dongshan, but now, he has arrived at Jufeng Mountain. Wang Yangming and the Great Terror are one and the same, and the Great Terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain is just Wang Yangming's clone. Bai Qi, Shang Yang, Su Wuji, and Su Mo, all 4 of them were at the pinnacle of quasi-emperors, and they had previously teamed up to blast away Master Fengzi's body. As the Great Terror spoke, he looked towards the 3 o'clock direction, his eyes full of longing. With this thought in his mind, Su Yang closed his eyes slightly, automatically blocking out everything around him. Then he calmed down and began to think about how to integrate the memories of the 3 generations. Su Yu, on the other hand, stood next to him, looking at the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor warily with a pair of small black eyes. If the situation went wrong, she would take action immediately. At this time, Wang Yangming seemed to be a different person. His face was expressionless, his eyes were staring at the big terror trapped in the iron chain, and he said in a calm tone, Now, do you still want me to appear? There is a huge difference between the 2 places, but Wang Yangming has arranged a teleportation array, so it can be teleported instantly. Immediately afterwards. At this moment, Wang Yangming was so powerful that he seemed to have inherited everything from the Great Terror. In fact, Immortal Emperor Yanlong was as relaxed and content as if he were strolling in the courtyard. It didn't look like he was fighting at all, but more like he was teasing Su Wuzi and the others. My dear, hurry up and take action. I don't want to wait for more than a quarter of an hour. I want to merge with you and use this imperial body together to change the pattern of heaven and earth, Big Terror urged. All in all, now, the only imperial realm on earth, the real imperial realm, is Wang Yangming. Hold still. He, here you come, you are finally here, I have been waiting for you here for thousands of years. Actually. Wang Yangming nodded and said, in that case, I'll start. As soon as Wang Yangming finished speaking, he kneaded the secrets with both hands, and his whole body shone brightly, exuding a terrifying power that made people palpitate. At the same time, the Terror said seriously, ever since I was born with spiritual wisdom, I have known the meaning of my existence, and I have been mentally prepared. A man wearing purple robes and holding a whisk walked out of the darkness. This person is none other than Wang Yangming. This state lasted for about 3 minutes. Then, the terror bound by the iron chain disappeared, and only Wang Yangming was left at the scene. Good. The terror, who was chained, felt the changes in Jiangbei, and suddenly let out an evil laugh. This made the 4 of them angry, but they were helpless. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 876. Emperor Wan Yangming. Now, on Earth, he will be an invincible existence, and no one can be his opponent. The most important thing is that his other clone was promoted to the Emperor realm on Earth. Now the two are merged into one, and Wan Yangming also has the Emperor realm suppression. As long as he is alive, there will never be another Emperor realm on Earth. Unless someone can break the suppression of the law and prove the truth against heaven, this possibility is slim. For countless years, so many talented geniuses on Earth have not been able to do this, which proves how difficult it is to break the suppression of the Emperor realm. Even if there is an imperial realm, Wan Yangming is not afraid. He not only has one clone, but also another clone that is even more powerful. It is no exaggeration to say that at his peak, Wan Yangming was not much worse than Ziyulong. In fact, the reason why Zilong was promoted to the imperial realm was because of his intention. At first, Wan Yangming sensed that the ancestral dragon was attacking the emperor realm, so he shattered the void and temporarily left the earth. As long as he leaves the earth, the imperial realm suppression will naturally no longer exist, and Zilong can successfully advance to the imperial realm. A clone, in the late imperial realm. Wan Yangming felt the power in his body and murmured to himself with a serious face, "It's not enough. I want to return to the peak of the Emperor realm as soon as possible and get infinitely close to the Supreme Realm. Only in this way can I do what I want to do and succeed. The probability will increase. The second clone, it seems it's time to merge. By then, there will be very few people in the world who can rival me. Wait a moment, my second clone will arrive soon. I just need to wait here." With this thought in his mind, Wan Yangming raised his head, glanced directly above him, and said calmly, "Before merging the second clone, I still need to solve one thing." As soon as Wan Yangming finished speaking, his body appeared in the underground palace directly above him. In the center of this place, there is an ice coffin, and in the coffin lies an icy beauty of national beauty. Xianyuan God knows. Wan Yangming stood 3 meters away, his eyes fell on the ice coffin, and said calmly, "You have suppressed my clone for many years, but unfortunately, you can't suppress me. Today, it is my turn to dominate everything. Xuanyuan's divine knowledge is the snow on thousands of mountains." At first, Xianyuan God came to the earth, chose to enter reincarnation, and was contaminated by the karma of the ancestral dragon. She waited for a long time and finally decided to give birth in Jufeng Mountain. Naturally, she considered the Great Terror under Jufeng Mountain. At that time, Xianyuan Shenzhen had already noticed that there was an emperor realm at the foot of Jufeng Mountain, and it was an emperor realm native to the earth, and it was suppressed by the emperor realm. In other words, it is the only imperial realm on earth. In addition, Wan Yangming's clone was surrounded by demonic energy and sealed by a powerful formation. Xianyuan Shenshui believed that the Earth's only quasi-emperor was not a kind person, so she thought about it for a long time and finally landed on Jufeng Mountain. If the Great Terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain threatens to cause harm to the world, she will use her physical power to suppress it. Therefore, half a year ago, the Great Terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain began to stir. Qian Shangxiu directly chose to sleep in the ice coffin, sacrificing himself and strengthening the seal. Although she did not recover her memory at that time, and even now, Qian Shangxiu has not recovered Xianyuan Shangxiu's memory, but there was a voice in her mind telling her that she needed to do this, and as long as she did this, she could temporarily resolve the crisis at the foot of Jufeng Mountain and trap the Great Terror below. In your last life, you were very strong, not weaker than Zilong. Even in my heyday, I may not be able to defeat you. At this time, Wan Yangming stared at the sleeping Qian Shangxiu and said calmly, "But now, it will not be difficult for me to kill you." After saying that, Wan Yangming gathered spiritual energy in his palm, and then suddenly shot Jianshan Shui. Roar. The next moment, a long spiritual dragon flew out of his palm with a roar, carrying terrifying power, and attacked and killed Jianshan Shui. Qian Shangxiu was sleeping, not feeling the crisis at all. Her beautiful eyes were slightly closed, her breathing was steady, and there was no sign of hiding. With Wang Yangming's strength, once the attack falls on Qian Shangxiu's body will definitely turn into blood mist and explode to death. Buzz. But who would have known that at the critical moment, a powerful force would burst out from Qian Shangxiu's body. At this moment, Qianshan's snow, including the ice coffin, was all covered by a golden light. The golden light exuded terrifying power and directly swallowed up the spiritual dragon that Wang Yangming shot. And the golden light did not dissipate and always guarded Qianshan's snow, reflecting the golden light all around. Emperor's body protection. Seeing this, Wang Yangming raised a smile at the corner of his mouth. No wonder you dare to enter reincarnation. You are smarter than Su Yang, and you actually keep the imperial weapon in your body. But, so what, you are sleeping and have no strength. I can keep attacking. If you can't succeed with one blow, then 10 times or 100 times. Wang Yangming said calmly, in this case, no matter how strong your imperial weapon is, it will eventually be destroyed by me. At that time, Xianyu and Shenzhen, you will definitely die in my hands. I didn't expect that the most beautiful girl in the world would be killed by me. Wang Yangming smiled and shook his head, then began to mobilize his power to attack the golden light over and over again. Boom! 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 Wang Yangming kept attacking, and the power of each blow was gradually increasing. Slowly, the golden light began to weaken, and if it continued for a long time, it would definitely not be able to withstand Wang Yangming's devastation. At this time, Jiangbei, Su family manor. Li Feixuan stopped outside the Su family manor, feeling the changes in Jiangbei caused by the slow recovery of spiritual energy, her beautiful face full of worry. Now, she already knows everything about Su Yang. Su Yang won the first place in the 100 sex martial arts competition and successfully started the ancient martial arts transformation. Using the gifts of the ancient martial arts transformation, 10 people broke out and advanced to the realm of martial master. Among these 10 places, she should be one of them. Li Feixuan has already realized this. She is ordinary and has just stepped into the ranks of ancient martial arts. There is nothing special about her. How could she suddenly cross several realms and directly step into the ranks of martial arts? Obviously, Su Yang gave himself a spot. Recalling that she had pretended to be cool in front of Su Yang, and that Su Yang had cooperated with her in pretending, Li Feixuan was angry and laughing, but she was more satisfied and warm. Besides, Su Yang had been in seclusion for the past 6 months. After coming out of seclusion, he killed outsiders at the foot of Jufeng Mountain, shocking the world. It is no exaggeration to say that Su Yang's strength is already very strong. Li Feixuan was very proud that the man she liked was indeed not bad. In fact, if Li Feixuan went to inquire about this information, it would be easy to find out. It's just that Li Feixuan has been hiding her strength for the past 6 months and has not integrated into the circle of ancient warriors. She lives in her own circle, so naturally she doesn't know this. But now that Jiangbei has gathered many ancient warriors and cultivators, and the spiritual energy recovery has slowly begun, Jiangbei has undergone great changes, and the spiritual energy has become extremely abundant. At this moment, many people were talking about what happened in Dongshan, and naturally they couldn't avoid mentioning Su Yang. Because of this, Li Feixuan learned about Su Yang's various deeds, and learned that Su Yang was working hard to revive his spiritual energy. Strong people from outside the region were likely to stop him. A fierce battle would inevitably occur, and Li Feixuan became worried. Su Yang, please don't let anything happen to you. Concubine Li looked towards the direction of Dongshan, constantly praying for Su Yang in her heart, and at the same time annoyed herself. It's all because of my poor strength, I can't be of much help. I will always be here, waiting for you to come back. At this time, Dongshan Cave Mansion. Many cultivators outside have already given up fighting for the source of spiritual energy. Have no idea. The people inside were too strong, beyond their imagination. Any one person could crush them all with one finger. How to rob this? Those who can become strong on earth are those who are aware of current affairs and will naturally not do stupid things. Now, they did not stay away, but approached the entrance of the cave, sitting cross-legged, operating their respective techniques, and entered a state of cultivation. Although there were many people at the scene, they were not worried about being plotted. Because at this time, no one dares to harm anyone, otherwise they will become the target of public criticism. Everyone will attack in groups, no matter how awesome they are, they will still be hated. As for the ancient warriors at the scene, they were a little unwilling to give up and were waiting outside the cave to see if they could get some advantage. The revival of spiritual energy bit by bit is already profitable for the cultivators. They can take this opportunity to advance and break through. After all, the spiritual energy on site is rich. But for the ancient warrior, there is no benefit at all. What is revived is spiritual energy, which is completely incompatible with true energy. They came to Jiangbei and had been dormant for so long. They didn't want to leave just now, so they stayed outside. What happened inside, and why did it become quiet? It seems that the spiritual energy is no longer bursting out. Has it stopped? Did the strong men inside die together? We don't rule out this possibility. Why don't we go in and take a look? If so, wouldn't we make a lot of money? Someone suggested going into the cave to have a look, but no one responded at first. But after a while, several people finally failed to resist the temptation and chose to enter the cave to find out. In this way, 7 or 8 people entered the cave together and groped forward cautiously. Unfortunately, as soon as they got a little deeper, they fell into the killing array in the cave. Whoosh! In an instant, countless spiritual blades attacked, and with just one breath, the 7 or 8 people who entered the cave died. In fact, they didn't even react. They couldn't even say their last words before they died. Several more people entered the cave from behind, but when they saw their bodies, they were frightened and hurriedly retreated, thus saving their lives. At this point, no one dared to think about the cave mansion anymore, and those ancient warriors even left the scene. There is no point for them to stay. This place is not something they can get involved in. Only the cultivators stayed and used the rich spiritual energy emanating from the cave to strengthen themselves. At this moment, deep in the cave, there is a secret place in the desolate desert. Suwuji, Suemo, Baichi, and Shangyang are fighting against the Yanlong Immortal Emperor together. None of the 4 of them saved their strength, and they all fought with their lives. Unfortunately, they were still no match for the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor, and were beaten back and forth by the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Hee. At this time, Immortal Emperor Yanlong forced the 4 of them back, stood in the air, and sneered, "With my strength, it is not difficult to kill the 4 of you. The reason why you have been entangled with me for so long is because I am familiar with the state of the soul body. Otherwise, I can kill you with one sword." Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled playfully and said, "But that's it? I have adapted to it and there is no need to fight anymore." After the words fell, Immortal Emperor Yanlong held the Heavenly Emperor sword and swung it out. Zheng. In an instant, the sword rang out, and a sharp sword light, carrying terrifying power, struck down immediately. Puff! 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 The next moment, Suwuji, Suemo, Baichi, and Shangyang were all injured by the sword light. They fell heavily to the ground, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and completely lost their ability to fight. Immortal Emperor Xiantian is right. In my current state, I cannot activate the Heavenly Emperor sword all the time, but he is wrong about one thing. He underestimates me too much. Immortal Emperor Yanlong glanced at the four seriously injured people and smiled softly. You alone, even if you join forces, can't stop me from attacking with all my strength. After finishing speaking, Immortal Emperor Yanlong's eyes fell on Su Yang, with a look of surprise on his face, but then he said, Haha, Su Yang, it's too late to make a breakthrough now. It doesn't matter if you step into the tribulation. Above the tribulation is the Quasi-Emperor, and after the Quasi-Emperor is the Imperial Realm. The gap between you and me is still too big. Overcoming the tribulation. Good. After a short time, Su Yang had successfully advanced and entered the realm of transcending tribulation. Originally, he was already at the peak of becoming a god, and he had sufficient resources and the soul of an immortal emperor. He didn't have to worry about bottlenecks and enlightenment, and could advance at any time. But Su Yang didn't want to make rapid progress, and wanted to play steadily, so as to increase the chance of breaking through to the imperial realm in the future. But just now, Su Yang has been thinking, how can he integrate the memories of the three generations? He couldn't figure it out, so after much thought, he decided to improve his realm first. Perhaps he needed to reach a certain level before he could unlock the memory sealed deep in his mind. But it's a pity that Su Yang made a mistake in judgment. He stepped into the realm of transcending tribulation and still didn't have a single memory in his mind. But Su Yang's previous injuries were all recovered now. The Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. At this time, Su Yang stood up, met the Yanlong Immortal Emperor's gaze, and said calmly, I want to know, what are you thinking about the earth? Is it the way to set foot on the Emperor's realm? Good. Immortal Emperor Yanlong nodded and said, this place on earth is home to many outstanding people and spirits, many of whom have been above the imperial realm. I control this place just to see what magic the earth has. If that's the case, then why do you want to prevent the spiritual energy from reviving? Su Yang continued, you should also know that the earth has entered a period of decline. If nothing happens, it will be destroyed, and then the era will reopen. The earth is going to be destroyed. How can you study this place? It's better to let the spiritual energy recover, turn things around, and create a prosperous earth for you to study, Su Yang suggested. He. Xiantian Immortal Emperor, do you think I am a fool? Immortal Emperor Yanlong sneered, if the earth really enters the Golden Age and the suppression of the Emperor realm disappears, many Emperor realms will inevitably be born. How can I control everything? Also, I came to Earth this time to prevent the spiritual energy from reviving. I was actually ordered to do it. I can't do it. Immortal Emperor Yanlong looked at Su Yang and said with a playful smile, Immortal Emperor Xiantian, can you guess who entrusted me to this? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 877. Someone else? Su Yang's eyes fell on Immortal Emperor Yanlong, and he frowned slightly and said, who? He. Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled and said, now that the matter is over, it doesn't hurt to tell you. You should know this person. To be precise, he is actually myself, another me. Immortal Emperor Xiantian, I believe that with your knowledge, you should understand what I say. Su Yang paused, then said tentatively, you mean, you have a clone? No. Immortal Emperor Yanlong shook his head and said, I am the clone, I mean, my true self. It is my plan to control the earth, and everything is my arrangement. Clone. Su Yang met Yanlong Immortal Emperor's gaze and asked doubtfully, is the Yanlong Immortal Emperor I have known all this time just a clone? Good. This time, Immortal Emperor Yanlong nodded, and then said, I split countless years ago. I have two clones, and I am just one of them. I inherited the body of this deity, so my appearance is the same as that of this deity. Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled softly, and then said, "Speaking of which, you must have guessed who my true identity is, right? Wang Yangming." Su Yang said Wang Yangming's name without any pause. Because, since the first time he saw Wang Yangming, he found that Wang Yangming's appearance was the same as that of Yanlong Immortal Emperor, and they were carved from the same mold. However, the aura on Wang Yangming's body was very different from that of Yanlong Immortal Emperor. In addition, Wang Yangming is the first person in Taoism, wearing a purple robe, so he has no omissions, and participated in the layout of Immortal Emperor Xiantian back then. Therefore, Su Yang just maintained some doubts about Wang Yangming. Before the matter was clarified, he did not show it and pretended not to notice, always keeping vigilance against Wang Yangming. It was also because of his appearance that Su Yang consciously or unconsciously asked Wang Yangming if he was trustworthy after meeting his great-grandfather Su Wuzi. But the answer given by the great-grandfather was very firm. No one in the world could disbelieve it, but one could not disbelieve Wang Yangming. Certainly. This sentence was said by Immortal Emperor Xiantian, who was Su Yang's previous life. From then on, Su Yang no longer doubted Wang Yangming, because he firmly believed that his judgment as the Xiantian Immortal Emperor would be correct. However, now that things had happened, he suddenly learned from the Yanlong Immortal Emperor that Wang Yangming was actually the true form of the Yanlong Immortal Emperor, which made Su Yang feel like he had been deceived. The Yanlong Immortal Emperor who has always been interested in the earth is just a clone, and the real person who controls all this is Wang Yangming. This news made Su Yang unable to accept it for a while. But at this point, there was really no need for Yanlong Immortal Emperor to fool him. Because the Yanlong Immortal Emperor controlled the whole scene, from the Yanlong Immortal Emperor's perspective, he could easily obliterate Su Yang. In this case, why would Yanlong Immortal Emperor bother to make up lies to deceive himself? Thinking about it this way, what Yanlong Immortal Emperor said must be true. In addition, Wang Yangming suddenly disappeared just before Bai Qi, Shang Yang, and the others faced the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Part of the soul of the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor that was previously hidden in young Master Fengzi was also taken away by Wang Yangming. Although Wang Yangming told Su Yang many secrets, he hesitated when it came to the real secret. For example, how Qin Shangxiu's memory was opened, and how Su Yang integrated the memories of 3 generations. Wang Yangming did not mention a word about these key issues that could change the current outcome. There are various signs that this Wang Yangming is not simple and must be planning something. Yes, it's Wang Yangming. Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled and said, "My true body is a person from the ancient times." In front of him, Zilong is just a junior kid. "Su Yang, I saw that you can control the key to the East Palace. As far as I know, it should be the imperial weapon of the ancestral dragon." Immortal Emperor Yanlong continued, "I understand now. If I guessed correctly, you should be the ancestral dragon who left the earth in shattered void more than 2,000 years ago. More than 2,000 years ago, when you entered the outer territory, you must have strayed into time and space and went to the outer territory 100,000 years ago. You achieved the name of Xiantian Immortal Emperor, so you have some interactions with me." Immortal Emperor Yanlong smiled playfully, "But these are no longer important. Today, I will wipe you out and completely cut off your many years of layout, so as to completely control the earth and enslave everything here." Immortal Emperor Yanlong sneered, "At that time, maybe I will be qualified to be independent, completely get rid of the shackles of this deity, and become an independent individual. Whether you are the ancestral dragon, the Xiantian Immortal Emperor, or Su Yang, suffer death." After the words fell, Emperor Yanlong narrowed his eyes slightly, stared at Su Yang coldly, and then swung his sword directly, intending to directly obliterate Su Yang. Actually, in his current state, he can always use the Heavenly Emperor Sword, but if he wants to use the Heavenly Emperor Sword to exert the strength that can only be achieved in the Emperor realm, it is more difficult. There are only 5 opportunities. The Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor had already used it once to imprison the space and prevent the recovery of spiritual energy. After that, he defeated the four Suwuji and Suemo with one sword, and used it again. Now, he can still swing the Heavenly Emperor sword 3 times. He originally planned to keep it so that he would not be so passive when he encounters the real body. But when he thought that the person he wanted to kill was Su Yang, Immortal Emperor Yanlong did not hesitate and used his 3rd Emperor level ability, intending to kill him with one blow to avoid further trouble. Su Yang was only in the realm of transcending tribulation. Facing the Yanlong Immortal Emperor's sword, he had no power to fight back. "You are not allowed to hurt my father." But at this moment, Su Yuyu, wearing deep sea blue, jumped up and blocked Su Yang. Zheng. The next moment, after a sword cry, the sword light from the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor fell directly on the blue of the deep sea. Buzz. In an instant, deep sea blue released a powerful energy and actually caught the sword light from the Emperor's sword. Call. Su Yuyu only took 2 steps back, a layer of cold sweat broke out on her forehead, and she was a little hasty on purpose. The luster on the deep sea blue was also obviously weakened. It can be seen that Su Yuyu took the sword with a little reluctance. What a powerful defensive weapon. Immortal Emperor Yanlong's eyes fell on the blue of the deep sea, and his expression was very surprised. "You girl, I underestimated you, I didn't expect you to have such a powerful imperial weapon. But it's a pity that your own strength is too weak. Even if you have a defensive imperial weapon, it is useless. It will only delay it for a moment at most." Immortal Emperor Yanlong looked at Su Yuyu and sneered, "Listening to what you called Su Yang just now, you are his daughter. Yes, standing up to save your father is a song and a cry, but let's stop there. Immortal Emperor Xiantian, you are so useless that you want your daughter to protect you, ha ha ha." Immortal Emperor Yanlong showed a fierce look and sneered, "In that case, I will let you see with your own eyes how your daughter died in my hands." With that said, the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor launched another attack, but instead of using the Emperor Realm ability, he held the Heavenly Emperor Realm in his hand and launched a normal attack. "Bastard!" Seeing this, Su Yuyu gritted her teeth and rushed forward, relying on the power of Deep Sea Blue to fight with the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. "Yuyu, you are no match for him, come back quickly." Su Yang hurriedly stopped his daughter, but unfortunately Su Yuyu didn't listen at all and stubbornly fought against the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Because Su Yuyu could see that the big bad guy in front of her was too powerful. Only she could fight him with the help of Deep Sea Blue, and her father had no chance to intervene. How can the memories of 3 generations be integrated? Su Yang felt deeply that he was incompetent and sat cross-legged on the ground, extremely anxious. "Your Majesty, junior brother Bai Qi and I can share some of Zilong's memories with you." At this time, Shang Yang gritted his teeth, walked over with his seriously injured body, and suggested, "Why don't you review it first, maybe you will be inspired and awaken all your memories." "This is a good idea. There is no other way now. Let's give it a try." Su Yang nodded in agreement after hearing this. "Master." Suwuji, who was next to him, also said, "Suemo and I also have some memories of your 2nd generation, Xiantian Immortal Emperor, and that should be the missing part of you. We also share with you that Wang Yangming's position is not clear yet, but if you awaken all the memories of Immortal Emperor Xiantian, you will definitely know how Immortal Emperor Xiantian and Wang Yangming talked for more than 100 years. Okay, share it with me." Su Yang nodded and urged, "As soon as possible, Yu won't be able to hold on for too long. Wang Yangming is too powerful. Even if he no longer uses his Imperial Realm abilities, he should be able to break Deep Sea Blue's defense within 3 to 5 minutes. The blue of the deep sea can resist attacks in the middle and late stages of the Imperial Realm, but it cannot be resisted all the time. It is only used to save lives and can save lives at critical moments. But every time Yanlong Immortal Emperor attacks, he hits the same place on deep sea blue. This is just like a drop of water penetrating a stone. The more times it is used, even if the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor is only at the critical point of the Imperial Realm, he can still penetrate the blue of the deep sea, so time is tight. Suwuji and the others naturally realized this, and hurriedly made secrets with their hands, sharing their memories of Zilong and Xiantian Emperor with Su Yang. 4 groups of light entered Su Yang's mind almost at the same time. Su Yang kept sitting cross-legged and accepted these 4 parts of memory. A few minutes later, Su Yang had already merged the memories of Su Wuzi and the 4 of them about him, and there were many more pictures in his mind. Unfortunately, it still didn't help. He still only knew the part shared by the 4 of them, and other memories could never be awakened. Even though Su Yang racked his brains, he still found nothing. Boom. At this moment, Immortal Emperor Yanlong didn't want to be entangled any longer, so he used up his 4th opportunity to use his Emperor Realm ability. The sword was slashed out, and the sword light fell on the blue of the deep sea. It was the same position as the last attack. Within a few minutes, Immortal Emperor Yanlong had launched thousands of attacks on this location of deep sea blue because there were already cracks here. As the Yanlong Immortal Emperor's strongest sword fell, the pressure of the Emperor came, directly breaking the blue of the deep sea. Su Yuyu's body fell down instantly, staining the sky with blood. Long. Su Yang noticed it and hurriedly jumped into the air, caught Su Yuyu, and held his daughter in his arms. After landing on the ground, Su Yang looked nervous and asked with concern, "Yuyu, how do you feel, are you okay?" Puff. Su Yuyu opened her mouth and spit out a pool of blood. Her cute little face was a little pale. She was obviously in pain, but she forced a smile and said, "Dad, cough, I didn't, I'm fine, I." Before she finished speaking, Su Yuyu fell into a coma. At this moment, Xiao Yan's voice came, and it seemed particularly weak. "It's just that I'm afraid Xiao Lan can no longer protect you and little Master Zhao." Su Yang stood up, his face as sinking as water, and his eyes fixed on the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor in mid-air. "Yes, thank you Master Xiao Lan," responded respectfully. "Immortal Emperor Yanlong, don't be so arrogant and want to kill me, you are not qualified yet." Su Yang spoke softly, and then with a thought, he took Su Yuyu, who was wearing deep sea blue, into the void tower above his head. Next moment. At this point, Su Yang had no other choice but to lead Immortal Emperor Yanlong to Jufeng Mountain. After saying that, Immortal Emperor Yanlong did not hesitate at all, leaving the Emperor's sword to close the flow of time in the imprisoned cave, preventing the spiritual energy recovery from continuing. This teleportation array is connected to Jufeng Mountain. Long. There was a flash of light, and the teleportation array closed. Su Yang knew the existence of the deep sea blue weapon spirit, and said, "Follow Yuyu and enter the void tower together. I will definitely repair you if you have the opportunity in the future." Therefore, he was very confident before. As long as he leads the Yanlong Immortal Emperor to Jufeng Mountain, Jingke will be able to kill the Yanlong Immortal Emperor. Su Yang hugged Su Yuyu and shouted sadly. After he finished speaking, Su Yang held the void tower and the key to the east mansion above his head and directly entered the teleportation array. But immediately afterwards, originally, Su Yang thought that the great terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain was Jingke from the immortal Qin period, who was ordered by the ancestral dragon to resist the powerful outsiders when his spiritual energy revived. With a thought in his mind, Su Yang directly started the teleportation formation at his feet that he had previously arranged, and said in a deep voice, "If you have the ability, follow me." Su Yang was familiar with the road and went straight into the underground palace. He saw Wang Yangming squeezing Qian Shangxiu's neck, gradually tightening his grip, and he was instantly furious. "Teleportation array, go to Jufeng Mountain, Su Yang, are you trying to laugh me to death?" He. But now, Su Yang learned from Shangyang that the Great Terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain was not Jingke at all. Immortal Emperor Yanlong saw the teleportation array and showed a playful smile. Okay, since you want to use the teleportation array to move your own grave, I will succeed for you. Immortal Emperor Yanlong was not afraid at all, and said coldly, now that the stumbling blocks have been resolved, you are the only one left. Let me see who else can save you. It's me who thanks you. As for himself, he ignored Su Wuzi and others and jumped into the teleportation array. Well, I understand, it's not your fault. Su Yang had not easily used the teleportation array until he figured out the identity of the Great Terror. He. That person just now was too strong. The last blow almost destroyed me. Moreover, he was very smart and always attacked the same place. Now there is a gap in me. In front of him, I have lost my defense ability, Xiao Lan said guiltily. Now he has no other choice but to take the risk and give it a try, otherwise everyone in the cave will die, let alone himself. Master, my little master is fine, you don't have to worry. Su Yang and Immortal Emperor Yanlong appeared in Jufeng Mountain one after another. Wang Yangming, what are you doing? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 878. Wang Yangming actually grabbed Qian Shangxiu's neck. At this time, Qian Shangxiu was still sleeping, her beautiful eyes were slightly closed, and her beautiful jade face was very peaceful. But her body was lifted up by Wang Yangming with one hand, and her whole body exuded a faint light. Just before Su Yang arrived, Wang Yangming broke through Qian Shangxiu's imperial weapon defense and was preparing to obliterate Qian Shangxiu. Su Yang, you're here. Seeing Su Yang appear, Wang Yangming was not panicked or surprised at all, as if he had expected it. He smiled softly, met Su Yang's gaze, and said calmly, you are here just in time to see with your own eyes how I kill the woman you love. Wang Yangming, you are crazy. Su Yang knew that he was no match for Wang Yangming, so he stalled for time and said, good luck, what are you doing here, and why did you attack Xue'er? He. Wang Yangming smiled and said, Su Yang, you and I are not the same people. In fact, I am plotting against the earth. The Yanlong Immortal Emperor is just my clone. Qian Shangxiu's previous life was the Xianyuan god. Even I am afraid of that woman. If she really awakens, she will definitely become a serious problem for me. Wang Yangming stared at Su Yang and sneered, do you think I will keep her? I have already told him about the relationship between you and me at this time. Immortal Emperor Yanlong walked in and said with a smile. Then I don't have to waste any time explaining. Wang Yangming looked at Su Yang and said seriously, Su Yang, the earth cannot be revived with spiritual energy. I will not let you succeed. This is the general trend of the world and the will of heaven. No one can change it. The end of the era and the restart of the era are all destined. This rule is eternal. Wang Yangming went on to say, if you want to change the era and make the earth remain the same for a long time, you are going against the law of heaven, and you are destined to have no good results. I'm just acting on behalf of heaven's way. Only by obeying heaven's way can I have the opportunity to touch the realm above the imperial realm, Wang Yangming finally said. Heaven's will. Su Yang met Wang Yangming's gaze, suppressed the anger in his heart, and asked in a cold voice, so, you have reached a consensus with the will of heaven? Yes, you are very smart. Wang Yangming did not hide anything and said truthfully, as long as I prevent the resurgence of spiritual energy and speed up the destruction of the era, I will have a chance to advance to the imperial realm. So, it's not my fault, Su Yang. Even if it were you, I'm afraid you would make the same choice as me, sacrificing the earth to achieve yourself. He. When Su Yang heard this, he said coldly, Wang Yangming, you look down on me so much, how could I destroy all sentient beings for myself? You still don't understand. It's not me who wants to destroy all living beings, but the will of heaven. Even if I don't take action today, the spiritual energy recovery will still not be successful. Heaven will directly intervene to stop it. Wang Yangming said seriously, in short, you can never change the way of heaven, and no one can truly go against heaven. 100 years ago, Suwazi did succeed once, but what he reversed was not the will of heaven, but just ominous. The so-called ominous thing is that I use a treasure to radiate the entire earth and suppress the realm of cultivators. Its suppressive power is nothing compared to the true will of heaven. Wang Yangming said sternly, the true will of heaven is a transcendent existence above the emperor's realm. Even the powerful in the emperor's realm cannot violate it, let alone those below the emperor's realm. Forget it, it doesn't make any sense to say this now. Su Yang, I will send Xianyu and Shenxian on his way first, and then I will send you back to the west. Wang Yangming said in a cold tone, I will give you a favor. I will protect your relatives and friends from death for the time being. After all, they are not on the same level as me and are not qualified to be my opponents. But when the era is shattered, no one can protect them. Even those in the true imperial realm will die without a burial place when the era is shattered. Even if you are outside the territory, as long as you are born on Earth, your soul will be locked and there will be no possibility of survival. At that time, only I can survive, because after today, with the help of the will of heaven, I will reach the imperial realm and be on an equal footing with the will of heaven. Having said this, Wang Yangming showed a proud smile, and then he suddenly exerted force on his fingers. Click. The next moment, there was a clear sound, and Qian Shangxiu's neck was shattered in an instant, and he lost his breath. Afterwards, Wang Yangming threw away Qian Shangxiu's body and threw it out with all his strength. Shwe. Su Yang's heart tightened, and he hurriedly jumped up, caught Qian Shan's snow, and landed firmly on the ground. After discovering that Qian Shangxiu had turned into a corpse, Su Yang was instantly furious, his eyes were about to burst, and he stared at Wang Yangming with gritted teeth. Ah! Wang Yangming, I want you to pay with blood. Su Yang was furious, put down Qian Shangxiu's body, sacrificed the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion, and suddenly killed Wang Yangming. Boom! However, Wang Yangming just waved his hand, and a terrifying force surged out, knocking Su Yang away. Puff! After landing, Su Yang spat out a mouthful of blood, his face was extremely pale, and he lay dying on the ground. As for the Void Tower and the key to the East Mansion, they were also forced back into Su Yang's body. There was a huge disparity in strength between Su Yang and Wang Yangming, and these two imperial weapons were almost useless. Su Yang, don't waste your efforts. Just as you are now, you are not qualified to fight with me. Wang Yangming looked at Su Yang with a sneer. Snort. Since I can't do it, then I will find someone who can crush you. Su Yang snorted coldly, wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth, and then wanted to contact the Big Terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain. Is the person you're talking about the Big Terror down there? Suddenly, Wang Yangming said with a smile, if it's him, then don't waste your efforts. Huh, Su Yang frowned slightly. Haha, because, he is me, and I am him. Wang Yangming did not hide anything, he smiled softly and said, the Great Terror of Jufeng Mountain you talk about is actually another clone of me. I started planning it many years ago, but unfortunately, I am not proficient enough in transforming one qi into 3 pure beings, and I have not completely mastered it, so I only split it into 2 clones. The Yanlong Immortal Emperor is one, and the Great Terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain is also one. Wang Yangming smiled softly and said, once I fuse the 2 clones, my strength will be infinitely close to the Emperor level. Even if you are at your peak, you may not be my opponent. Just now, the Great Terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain has become one with me. I have achieved the realm of the Immortal Emperor. Wang Yangming said calmly, Su Yang, you don't have to worry, I will send you on your way. but before that, I want to ask you to watch a good show to let you know how powerful I really am. After saying that, Wang Yangming's eyes fell on Yanlong Immortal Emperor and said coldly, Yanlong Immortal Emperor, why don't you merge with me quickly? Fusion. When Immortal Emperor Yanlong heard these words, his expression suddenly froze, and his face became a little ugly. My lord. Immortal Emperor Yanlong's eyes fell on Wang Yangming, and it was obvious from his eyes that he was full of fear for Wang Yangming. Didn't you say that you won't force us to return to our original bodies? Wang Yangming frowned slightly and said in a calm tone, what do you mean, you don't want to merge with me? Yes. Immortal Emperor Yanlong mustered up his courage and gritted his teeth and said, over the years, I have grown from a humble beginning, from the Qi training realm to the Imperial realm step by step, and within the Imperial realm, I am almost invincible. I have sacrificed too much, and now you want me to merge with you and let you control everything. I am unwilling to accept it. Immortal Emperor Yanlong continued, besides, you have clearly said before that you will not force us to merge with you. Whether we will merge or not depends entirely on our wishes. Now, you ask me to merge with you. What do you mean by going back on your word? It was then, but now, the situation is different. Wang Yangming showed displeasure and said coldly, at that time, I did not reach an agreement with the will of heaven and did not get the opportunity to set foot on the imperial realm. But now, I have this opportunity. Immortal Emperor Yanlong, I advise you not to be ignorant and take the initiative to fuse with me. Maybe you will suffer less. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Wang Yangming took a step forward and said in a deep voice, you should know that I am the main body and I have absolute control over the clone. Even if you disagree, you have no power to resist. My lord. Immortal Emperor Yanlong gritted his teeth and said, you actually threatened me and turned your back on me as soon as you said you would, which is too heartless. So what? Wang Yangming urged, don't blame me for not giving you a chance. You still have 10 seconds to think about it. He. Upon hearing this, Immortal Emperor Yanlong said in a cold voice, okay, I believe you can see that I am just a soul body now. My physical body was left outside the territory and was not brought here. I don't have the strength of an emperor now. If you forcefully merge with me, the effect will be greatly reduced. Immortal Emperor Yanlong seemed to have expected the scene a long time ago, so he kept a secret plan. The reason why he came to the earth in the state of his soul body was to guard against his real body Wang Yangming. If there is no emperor-level physical body, the forced fusion of this deity will not be able to exert the greatest effect. I don't need the imperial body anymore. Wang Yangming didn't care, and said, my other clone is already at the imperial level. After the fusion, my physical body has reached the imperial level. Now I only need to swallow your soul body, and I can return to the peak and reach the peak of the imperial realm. You. Immortal Emperor Yanlong said angrily, it seems that you still want to forcefully merge with me. My lord, since you are not merciful, there is no need for me to be merciful. Do you still remember Empress Hongyun? Remember? Wang Yangming said calmly, she is dead. I was the one who felt sorry for her in the first place. Haha, just remember. Immortal Emperor Yanlong raised his lips and said, then she gave you a daughter, did you know? Wang Yangming frowned and said, daughter? What do you mean? When did Hongyun give birth to a daughter for me? He. When Immortal Emperor Yanlong heard this, he knew that Wang Yangming didn't know about it, so he said, actually, Empress Hongyun was not dead at the time. She was still alive, and I used heavenly materials and earthly treasures to revive her. It's just that at that time you were so distraught that you returned to earth and didn't know these things. Immortal Emperor Yanlong continued, after you left, I extended the life of Empress Hongyun, and unexpectedly discovered that she was pregnant. From then on, I arranged for the maid to take care of her 24 hours a day and let her recuperate in a secret place. Not long after, your daughter was born. She was named Crimson Red Moon and has been living in the secret realm, Immortal Emperor Yanlong said. Impossible. Wang Yangming said firmly, Empress Hongyun is dead and has entered reincarnation. I even saw her flower in this life. Don't lie to me. Good. Immortal Emperor Yanlong nodded and did not deny it, but said truthfully, Empress Hongyun did die, but that was more than 20 years after giving birth. Empress Hongyun's injury is too serious. Even if I find top-notch old medicine, it can't be completely cured. If I hadn't obtained a secret realm, I'm afraid she wouldn't even be able to give birth to a child. Immortal Emperor Yanlong explained, my secret realm contains the maternal energy of the first opening of the world. It has the ability to bring people back to life, and the healing effect is very good. However, you must be well aware of the injuries suffered by Empress Hongyun. The terrifying power is in her body, constantly destroying her internal organs, and my secret realm cannot bring her back to life. Immortal Emperor Yanlong continued, in short, I tried my best, but Empress Hongyun still died. My secret realm also has a magical effect. The time inside and outside are different. Empress Hongyun and your daughter have lived inside for 20 years, but thousands of years have passed outside. Immortal Emperor Yanlong continued, now, your daughter is in her 20s, and she is slim and beautiful. No, she is not only your daughter, but also my daughter. The two of us are one. Having said this, Immortal Emperor Yanlong said in a deep voice, however, if you dare to forcibly fuse with me, then don't blame me for being ruthless and destroying her. She and I have already signed a soul contract alone, and even she doesn't know it. Immortal Emperor Yanlong said coldly, as long as I have a thought, Crimson Red Moon will lose her soul and become an idiot. There will never be a possibility of recovery. Even if you reach the level of the Emperor and become an existence equal to the will of heaven, you still cannot create the same soul. That's it? When Wang Yangming heard this, he sneered and said, haha, I haven't been really threatened by anyone in a long time. Immortal Emperor Yanlong, you are so brave, how dare you threaten me like this, he he he. Wang Yangming said ruthlessly, but how can I be threatened by you? Isn't she just a daughter? Am I more than just a daughter? If she is stupid, she is stupid. Even if she is dead, what does it have to do with me? Wang Yangming walked towards Immortal Emperor Yanlong step by step and said sternly, it seems that you are unwilling to merge with me, so I will have to use force. My dear, you are so cruel. When Emperor Yanlong heard this, he finally panicked and subconsciously wanted to escape. Give it to me, come back. Wang Yangming shouted loudly, and then spread his palms. In an instant, a terrifying power surged out, directly controlling Yanlong Immortal Emperor, turning him into a ball of dense energy, and then swallowed it. The next moment, Wang Yangming's body was shining brightly, his aura was rising steadily, and it was extremely terrifying. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 879. Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor. Gone. In just an instant, it was forcefully swallowed by Wang Yangming and turned into energy that merged with Wang Yangming. Originally, he was a soul body and did not have an imperial body, so he was not qualified to compete with Wang Yangming. Certainly. He is just a clone. Even if he comes to Earth in his prime, he will have no power to resist when facing his true form, Wang Yangming. The main body has absolute control over the clone, and nothing can change this. But at the beginning, Immortal Emperor Yanlong thought that if he came without the Emperor-level body, he would not be in a hurry when he saw him, and most likely he would not forcefully merge with him. In addition, he also has the soul of Wan Yangming's daughter Qi Hongyu in his hands. With a thought, he can destroy his daughter and conclude that Wan Yangming will be afraid and let him go. It's a pity that Wan Yangming has merged with the Great Terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain and has become an emperor. He does not lack the emperor's physical body. Also, Wan Yangming was so cruel that he even ignored the life and death of his own daughter in order to become stronger. This was beyond the expectations of Emperor Yanlong. Before the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor was devoured, he was fully capable of destroying Scarlet Hongyu's soul and turning Scarlet Hongyu into a fool who could never recover for the rest of his life. But he hesitated for a moment, but did not do that, but chose to accept his fate. Because although Immortal Emperor Yanlong is not Wan Yangming in person, he is a part of Wan Yangming and has a complicated relationship with Wan Yangming. Wan Yangming's daughter is, in a sense, also his daughter. Over the years, he has been taking care of Scarlet Hongyu, tolerating and protecting Scarlet Hongyu. In order to extend the life of Empress Hongyun, Immortal Emperor Yanlong locked Empress Hongyun in her own secret realm and seldom disturbed her. A clone is a clone. He knew that Empress Hongyun was the woman of the original deity, so it was naturally inconvenient to get too close to her, so he had never been to the secret realm during this period. This also led to Qi Hongyu misunderstanding Yanlong Immortal Emperor and thinking that Yanlong Immortal Emperor had failed Empress Hongyun. After the death of Empress Hongyun, Qi Hongyu hated the Yanlong Immortal Emperor even more. She blamed the Yanlong Immortal Emperor for her mother's death, ignored the Yanlong Immortal Emperor, and even sometimes deliberately angered the Yanlong Immortal Emperor. But Immortal Emperor Yanlong didn't care about this. After burying Empress Hongyun, he took Qi Hongyu out of the secret realm and took good care of her. After Scarlet Hongyu returned to her normal life, she deliberately provoked those powerful people in the Star Territory and acted unscrupulously. Immortal Emperor Yanlong was the one wiping her behind afterwards. In order to frighten those who had crooked thoughts about Crimson Red Moon, Immortal Emperor Yanlong even went on a killing spree and showed no mercy. To put it simply, Immortal Emperor Yanlong had already regarded Scarlet Hongyu as his biological daughter. To be precise, Qi Hongyu can be considered his daughter. After all, she is Wan Yangming's clone, the second Wan Yangming. After so many years, let alone a living person, even a dog has feelings. Immortal Emperor Yanlong naturally felt the same way towards Scarlet Hongyu. He gave all his fatherly love to Scarlet Hongyu. Just now, Immortal Emperor Yanlong used Crimson Red Moon to threaten Wan Yangming just out of necessity, but he would never really hurt Crimson Red Moon. After all, which father would destroy his daughter's soul and make her stupid? Therefore, Immortal Emperor Yanlong gave up and fulfilled Wan Yangming's wish as if he was resigned to his fate. He. At this moment, Wan Yangming felt the majestic power in his body and sneered, the peak of the imperial realm, infinitely close to the imperial realm. This feeling has been long gone. Wan Yangming. Seeing this, Su Yang looked at Wan Yangming with disdain and said coldly, "You are really cruel and ruthless." Immortal Emperor Yanlong knew he could destroy Crimson Hongyu, but he didn't do it. Even he had good intentions and couldn't bear to let Crimson Hongyu become stupid. But you don't care at all, and you don't care about Qi Hongyu's life or death at all. She is your biological daughter, how could you do this? Su Yang scolded. Daughter? Wan Yangming sneered and said, "Haha, what does family love mean to me? As long as I can achieve something above the imperial realm and be equal to the will of heaven, I will give up anything without hesitation. Even if I were to kill that crimson moon with my own hands, I wouldn't hesitate at all." Wan Yangming looked like he was crazy, and said ruthlessly, "Above the imperial realm, once I reach that realm, I will be the will of heaven, and no one will be able to restrain me in the endless sky." Su Yang looked at Wan Yangming and didn't speak for a while, but just stared at him seriously. "Okay, Immortal Emperor Xiantian, no, I should call you Su Yang now." Wan Yangming smiled, met Su Yang's gaze, and said coldly, "Now it's time to send you on your way. After I kill you, I will break the void, search for the will of heaven, and ask him to come forward to help me advance to the imperial realm opportunity." Haha, you have so many scheming thoughts, isn't it possible that the will of heaven is not as good as this? Su Yang said in a neither humble nor arrogant tone, "Wang Yangming, you are currently unable to compete with the will of heaven. Aren't you afraid that all you have done is in vain and that in the end you will be obliterated by the will of heaven?" "Not afraid." Wang Yangming shook his head and did not hide anything, but said truthfully, "Su Yang, you haven't reached this level yet, but I can tell you. The will of heaven changes every 10 epochs, and now it happens to be the 10th epoch." Wang Yangming continued, "The will of heaven is not eternal, and it is not the strongest in the universe. The will of heaven we are talking about now is nothing more than the will of heaven in the star domain of the earth. There are 3,000 heavenly wills in the 3,000 star fields outside the territory. Depending on the strength of the star fields, the strength of the heavenly wills is very different." Wang Yangming continued, "Nowadays, the earth's heavenly will is at the bottom of the list in terms of strength among the many heavenly wills. In Kangyu, all the most powerful people have the opportunity to become the will of heaven, but they must obey the management." "Management?" Su Yang frowned slightly. "Yes, there is a powerful organization that specializes in managing the will of heaven and is responsible for allocating the will of heaven. To put it simply, the will of heaven is like a county magistrate, and the organization is like a court. It will arrange different wills of heaven to guard and control different star fields. Every tens of thousands of years, the star field will be cleaned. The arrow will be broken and the arrow will be opened." Wang Yangming nodded and said, "The earth's current will of heaven has opened the 9th era of destruction. If he does it again, he can be promoted, and then he will be arranged to a star field with more abundant resources. I have joined forces with him. I helped him speed up the destruction of the era, and he recommended me to that organization to become the new will of heaven on earth." Wang Yangming smiled softly and said, "The organization has agreed. I need to destroy the spiritual energy recovery and speed up the destruction of the era. He will open the heavenly gate to advance to the imperial realm. Once I advance to the imperial realm, I can take over from him and guard the earth. And he is free and can go to a more powerful star field to do the will of heaven. The best of both worlds." Wang Yangming showed a smile and said, "Su Yang, I've told you what happened. Do you think the will of heaven will kill me?" After listening to Wang Yangming's words, Su Yang fell silent. He didn't expect that there was such an organization in Kangyu. However, each star field has the will of heaven and is responsible for starting the era of destruction. So why did he not encounter the era of destruction in Xiantian star field before? Su Yang, I know what you are thinking. In fact, eras are also broken in other star regions, but the cycle is very long. Wang Yangming continued, "As far as I know, it will take about 1 million years for Xiantian star territory, Jinwu star territory, these top powerful star territories, to start an era of destruction. And they are not suppressed by the Emperor realm. Countless Emperor realms can appear in the same star field." Wang Yangming explained, "But it is only the Imperial realm. Without the permission of that organization, the Tianmen cannot be opened. No one can set foot on the Imperial realm. Even the most powerful Imperial realm cannot do it. In this way, no one can threaten the dominance of that organization." Wang Yangming continued, "But the earth is different, it is too special. In the ancient times, there were successive emperors in the emperor's realm. Without the permission of that organization, they forcibly opened the gate of heaven and set foot on the emperor's realm, which caused serious damage to the organization. Threats. They naturally do not allow such an awesome star field to appear, so they set separate rules for the earth, allowing only one person to become an emperor. The emperor realm has its own suppression, which will affect other quasi-emperors. That is, at the same time, the earth can only have one emperor. Territory. Wang Yangming continued, it took tens of millions of years for the earth to begin an epoch-breaking event, but since then, it has started an epoch-breaking event every tens of thousands of years. After some targeting by that organization, the earth gradually declined. After several eras were shattered, it was at the bottom of many star fields. Wang Yangming continued, Su Yang, in fact, whether you are in the first life or the second life, you almost become the will of heaven. Even after opening the 10th era of destruction, you will also get the opportunity to travel to other star fields. Wang Yangming, don't give me a chance, otherwise, I will kill you, Su Yang said coldly. We have reached an agreement. As long as I can reach the top of the Imperial realm as soon as possible and destroy the spiritual energy recovery to show my attitude, he will open the heavenly gate and help me succeed him. The next moment, Su Yang's body was torn into pieces and turned into blood mist floating down from the sky. Su Yang's body was shattered, his soul was scattered, and he was in a state of powerlessness. The will of heaven originally had the intention of contacting me, but your appearance once again made me eclipsed. Unfortunately, you rejected the will of heaven on the earth again, and entered reincarnation, reincarnated, and lived a third life. World. Wang Yangming sneered and said, now, the heavenly emperor's sword has imprisoned time and the spiritual energy recovery has terminated. I have also merged the two clones and set foot on the top of the emperor realm, meeting the conditions to succeed him. Wang Yangming's eyes flashed fiercely and he said coldly, there is no point in talking about this now. Su Yang, you can die now, so let me end your glorious life. Su Yang, I have one last message for you. Ha ha ha, Su Yang, after learning this, do you regret it? Wang Yangming said proudly. During the ancestral dragon period, you have been chosen by the earth's will of heaven. He personally came forward and asked you to succeed him. He will open the gate of heaven for you and help you set foot on the imperial realm. The Xiantian star territory is one of the powerful star territories. The will of heaven on earth cannot interfere with the affairs of the Xiantian star territory, so you save your life. Wang Yangming said, what I call observing the earth is actually deliberately making big moves to attract the attention of the will of heaven, so as to gain the opportunity to cooperate with him. Didn't you ask me before how to make Qian Shanks you awaken Swan sacred memory? I didn't answer you at that time because I knew you couldn't bear to do it, but don't worry, I have already done it for you. Haha, you have no chance. Now, you can rest peacefully for a while. We will meet again. Wang Yangming smiled playfully and said, now, your realm is low, and the will of heaven does not have so much time to wait for you to grow. In the end, he chose me. Wang Yangming narrowed his eyes slightly, strode forward and clasped Su Yang's head with one hand. The spiritual energy in his palm was full of light, exuding terrifying power. Facing Wang Yangming, who was at the peak of the imperial realm, Su Yang had no power to fight back and couldn't even move. I never regret it. The imperial realm is not really immortal, especially the imperial realm born on the earth. No matter how powerful it is, once the earth era is destroyed, the imperial realm will also die. But if you agree to him and succeed him as the will of heaven, you can truly gain eternal life. Su Yang shook his head and said seriously, give me another chance to choose, I will still make the same decision. That's it? Wang Yangming smiled and said, but you don't understand the current affairs, and you rejected the good intentions of the will of heaven, because you have too much reluctance on earth, and you don't want the people you care about to die because the era is shattered. Boom. For this reason, you even embarked on the road of resistance and became an enemy of the will of heaven, trying to break the era and make the earth eternal. Is it? But you are really lucky. After entering the 9 nether hells, you still managed to save a life. You even restored the memory of the first generation ancestral dragon by mistake, and then appeared on earth in full glory, ruining my plan. You performed so well that you were selected by the will of heaven again, this time by the will of heaven in the Xiantian star region. That person is in the organization and is also the management. Wang Yangming sneered, otherwise, do you think that my clone, Yanlong Immortal Emperor, and several other immortal emperors can mobilize the 9 nether hells? He wanted you to join the organization and recommended you to succeed him and shock the Xiantian star territory, but you still refused. That's why the 9 nether hell incident happened. Wang Yangming continued, the will of heaven will naturally not let you go. When you broke the void and wanted to go outside the territory, I threw you into the chaos of time and space. Who knew that you were so lucky that you went to Xiantian star 100,000 years ago? Area. Wang Yangming continued, after that, you grew up in the Xiantian star territory. About 100,000 years ago, you returned to the peak of the imperial realm and became the Xiantian Immortal Emperor. You have almost no opponents in the Xiantian star territory. Wang Yangming put his mouth next to Su Yang's ear, said this, and then suddenly exerted force on his palms. Not only that, his immortal emperor soul was not spared and split into countless parts. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 880. Died. Wang Yangming looked at the blood mist scattered in front of him, with a meaningful smile on his lips, and murmured to himself, Su Yang, this is not the end, but the beginning, a new beginning, but there is not much time left. The will of heaven, the mysterious organization, in the sky and the universe, the qualifications for promotion to the imperial realm are firmly controlled by them. Wang Yangming raised his head, looked at the sky, and said to himself, I am gifted. I once firmly believed that with my own hard work and talent, I will definitely be able to reach the legendary imperial realm. For this reason, I will not succumb to the will of heaven, nor to any force, and I will work hard to practice hard just to attain the level of the Dao Emperor. But in the end I discovered that the Heaven's Gate has been sealed and is being controlled by people who want to stop the monks in the world. Furthermore, only by becoming them and getting their permission can they open the Heaven's Gate. Wang Yangming continued, if the Heaven's Gate is not opened, no matter how brilliant you are, no matter how brilliant you are, no matter how great you are, you will not be able to take the last step. This is dimensionality reduction and suppression, just like a cultivator in the realm of Qi training. No matter what, you cannot take the final step. The young monk turned out waves in his hands. Finally, I gave in and started trying to get closer to the will of heaven and that mysterious organization. Wang Yangming showed a smile and chuckled softly, at this moment, I finally succeeded. I will soon be able to step into the Tianmen and advance to the imperial realm. The will of heaven, after today, the will of heaven in this star region of the earth will be me. Wang Yangming admired the endless night sky obsessively, with a greedy look in his eyes. Immediately afterwards, he withdrew his gaze and looked at Jian Shangxiu's body not far away, with a very complicated expression. Just now, Wang Yangming broke Jian Shangxiu's neck with his own hands. Jian Shangxiu died with no breath, and now he is just a cold corpse. Xianyu and Shenzhen, it's almost time. I hope you can help me. Wang Yangming had no expression on his face. After muttering to himself, he raised his hand and put Jian Shangxiu's body into his imperial weapon. The will of heaven is outside the earth, monitoring all directions. The spiritual energy recovery is slowly starting. In addition, my clone, the Flame Dragon Immortal Emperor, has forcibly come to the earth. There is a change in the Hunyuan-Wuji formation that protects the earth. He must repair the Hunyuan-Wuji formation. Wang Yangming continued, now, I have done all the things he entrusted me to do. It is time to go to the center of the Hunyuan-Wuji formation and find him to open the heavenly gate. Hunyuan-Wuji formation. This is the supreme formation to protect the earth. In its heyday, it was very powerful. Not only the earth, but also every star field has a similar formation to protect the star field. This kind of protective formation is not arranged by the will of heaven, nor is it arranged by the mysterious organization. No one knows its true origin. Some experts above the imperial realm speculated that the defensive formations in each star field may have been formed naturally. They existed after the creation of the sky and the earth, and will last forever. This is God's arrangement to prevent the star territory from being destroyed, so this defensive formation was formed with miraculous craftsmanship. However, some people have raised objections, saying that although this formation is mysterious and powerful, and many of its designs are beyond the understanding of formation masters, it must not be naturally formed. The sky and the universe are too big. In some inconspicuous star field, there must be an extremely powerful person hidden. It was he, or they, who arranged this transcendent formation. As soon as this statement came out, it immediately caused a huge wave in the mysterious organization. The people in the mysterious organization are all above the imperial realm. They believe that they are the masters of the sky and the universe, and can control hundreds of millions of stars and the vast universe. But now some people say that there are more powerful existences in the universe, which makes them very uneasy and afraid that the huge power they have built will be shattered. There was simply no evidence later that could prove that there was a more powerful existence among the millions of stars. Over time, this guess was overturned. But the mysterious formations that protect the major star regions made the mysterious organization particularly fearful, and they began to train powerful formation masters to study the protective formations. But this formation is too powerful and complicated, and it is impossible to figure it out for a while. However, over time, they still scratched the surface. Although they could not control the guardian formations of the major star regions, they could repair them, and there was a way to allow their people to freely enter and exit the major star regions without being affected by the formations. But such talents are all top-notch formation masters, and ordinary people cannot do it even if they reach the imperial realm. The will of heaven that now controls the earth is at the bottom of many emperor realms in terms of strength. But he has an advantage, that is, he is proficient in formations. His master is currently the number one formation master, and his status in the mysterious organization is very high, and he is considered one of the best. There have been countless emperors on the earth before, and it was not under the premise that the mysterious organization opened the gate of heaven. Therefore, many people in the mysterious organization were worried about the earth at first and wanted to guard the earth and find out what happened. But with such a good opportunity, how could Kanyu's first formation master take advantage of outsiders, so he let his most trusted disciple sit on the earth. But he didn't find anything out of the ordinary on earth, and he got tired of it over time. In addition, the earth is only at the bottom among many star fields, so he naturally wants to find another job. All in all, the will of heaven that protects the earth has loved studying formations all his life. Now the recovery of the earth's spiritual energy has caused the defense of the Hunyuanwuji formation to weaken and appear abnormal. He will not miss this opportunity and will definitely be studying the Hunyuanwuji formation. Wang Yangming knew this, so he decided to go to the center of the Hunyuanwuji formation to find the will of heaven. However, he did not immediately rise into the sky, but looked towards Jiangbei. I almost forgot. Before that, there is one very important thing waiting for me to do. Wang Yangming showed a smile, then his figure flashed and entered the teleportation array. This teleportation array communicates with Jiangbei. Such a big movement at the foot of Zhifeng Mountain naturally alarmed many people. Wu Qingying, Millennium Killer, and the major peak masters of Zhifeng Mountain all appeared in the underground palace not long after Wang Yangming left. Shuer. When Qian Sha saw that the ice coffin was empty and there was no figure of Qian Shan Shuer, he suddenly became extremely anxious. Old woman, Shuer is missing. She was taken away. Why? Wu Qingying sighed deeply and said with a sad face, Shuer, she is dead. Wu Qingying was already at the peak level of the martial saint, and was well deserved to be the number one person in the ancient martial arts world. Just in the early hours of this morning, she took one step forward and reached the true martial god realm, comparable to a cultivator in the god transformation realm. But if it really comes to a fight, her fighting power should be comparable to the realm of transcending tribulation. When Wang Yangming appeared, he did not deliberately hide his aura, so Wu Qingying could sense the movement at the foot of Jufeng Mountain and even knew everything. At first, Wang Yangming appeared at the foot of Jufeng Mountain and took away the big terror at the foot of Jufeng Mountain. Wu Qingying was very excited. This great terror is full of uncertainty. If you are not careful, not only Jufeng Mountain will be destroyed, but even the whole world will suffer. But Wang Yangming solved the great terror easily, which made Wu Qingying excited, but even more shocked. Yangming, the king of Wudane Mountain, was the first Taoist. He wore a purple robe and was respected by people all over the world. Some people called him the Taoist. Wu Qingying had met Wang Yangming and had contact with Wang Yangming, but she didn't know that Wang Yangming was so strong. But this was always a good thing, and Wu Qingying secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But then, she realized that Wang Yangming returned to the underground palace and took action against Jian Shangxiu. Wu Qingying was Jian Shangxiu's grandmother. She loved Jian Shangxiu the most. She didn't care so much at that time, but she wanted to come down to save Jian Shangxiu. Even if she died, she would die with Jian Shangxiu. But Wu Qingying sensed the ground, and Wang Yangming naturally sensed him too, but he just pretended not to know before. After realizing that Wu Qingying was about to take action, Wang Yangming released a terrifying pressure, which shocked Wu Qingying's internal energy to close and stop flowing. Even she couldn't move, as if she was immobilized. If you dare to come down, I will massacre the entire Jufeng Mountain, so that everyone in Jufeng Mountain will die without a burial place. This is Wang Yangming's threat. Wu Qingying knew that Wang Yangming had the strength. For the sake of hundreds of lives in Jufeng Mountain, even if Wang Yangming withdrew his pressure, she could move, but she still did not act rashly. Because she also knew that if she went down, she would not be able to change the outcome. Instead, she would harm everyone in Jufeng Mountain. So, Wu Qingying stared at the palace below and knew everything that happened below. At this moment, her heart was like a knife, and she was extremely sad. What? When Jian Shai heard this, his body suddenly swayed, and he felt like the sky was falling. He almost lost his balance, and said in a trembling voice, "Old woman, you mean that Shuer is dead?" Wu Qingying took a deep breath and said sadly, "Dead. Just now, she was killed and her body was taken away." Ah! After Millennium Kill received the definite answer, he became furious and gritted his teeth and said, Who killed my precious granddaughter?" Wang Yangming. Wu Qingying answered truthfully. Wang Yangming. Wang Yangming of Wudane Mountain. 1,000 Years Killer was furious and said, "This bitch dares to kill my granddaughter. I want him to die without a burial place. I want the entire Wudane Mountain to be buried with my granddaughter. Peak Masters, gather your men and follow me into Wudane Mountain to defeat the number one Taoist sect in the world," Millennium Killer ordered angrily. Yes. The 8 Peak Masters at the scene, after hearing the order of 1,000 Years Kill, responded in unison. If it were before, they would naturally not dare to attack Wu Dang, nor would they readily obey the order of 1,000 Years of Killing. But things are different now. The wife he killed in 1,000 years is Wu Qingying, the number one person in the ancient martial arts world, and his grandson-in-law is even more powerful, the world-famous Su Yang. Naturally, they want to flatter him. In addition, Jufeng Mountain is very powerful now. Who can defeat Wu Qingying, the number one ancient martial artist in the world? Isn't it just a small Wudang? It's not like Jufeng Mountain doesn't have the strength to flatten it. Wu Qingying was the only one left in the underground palace. She looked at the blood scattered on the ground, her eyes filled with excitement. It's not impossible. That guy Su Yang, I have long thought that he doesn't look like a good person. The leader of Qinjiangsu Alliance has been deceived by him. Su Yang. 1,000 years of killing continued, that guy is of average strength. I can kill him by myself. Wang Yangming killed Qinjiangsu Alliance leader and Su Yang. I don't understand this. Could it be that Su Yang and Qinjiangsu Alliance leader were plotting something detrimental to the people of the world, so they were killed by Wang Yangming, who had the world in mind? Hearing Su Yang's name, Wu Qingying showed a wry smile, shook her head and said, "There is no need to contact Su Yang, he is also dead. He was beaten into blood mist by Wang Yangming, and there are no bones left." I said, "We can't defeat Wang Yangming. His strength is extremely terrifying and far beyond your knowledge," Wu Qingying said seriously. When Qian heard this, his expression suddenly changed, and he was extremely shocked and said, "Su Yang is, actually dead. Old woman, if it weren't for Wang Yangming, what's the point of counting everything? We'll destroy Wudane with force." Enough. After they left, Qian was distraught and burst into tears. Wang Yangming didn't make things difficult for Zhifeng Mountain, so there's no need for us to bother. Old woman. Damn Su Yang, he has harmed our alliance leader and also Zhifeng Mountain. I wonder if Wang Yangming will hate Zhifeng Mountain because of this. It was all in vain that I respected him and was even a little grateful to him. I didn't expect that he would kill my granddaughter. Today I will peel off his skin and cramps to express my gratitude for the hatred in my heart. When people leave, the tea is cool. Wu Qingying couldn't bear it anymore and interrupted sharply, "I'm not dead yet. Yes, we will deal with the hatred of the leader of Qinjiangsu later. Now we have to preserve our strength." After learning about the deaths of Su Yang and Qian Shangxiu, the 8 peak masters at the scene showed various faces, and some even labeled Su Yang randomly. Wu Qingying, the first person in ancient martial arts, suddenly became angry. Naturally, the 8 peak masters present did not dare to say anything. They lowered their heads and left the palace. The 8 peak masters at the scene were all shocked, and their discussions became chaotic. Seeing that Qian Kill was about to lead people to attack Wudane, Wu Qingying hurriedly stopped him, shook his head and said, "Don't go, Wudane is not what it used to be, and we can't beat Wang Yangming. I know very well how Shuer and Su Yang are. Don't let me hear any negative comments about them, otherwise don't blame me for being rude. Cry, 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 you know how to cry, you can leave too, I want to be alone," Wu Qingying said impatiently. "What, this old guy has made such rapid progress, but it doesn't matter. I'll contact Su Yang and ask Su Yang to come forward. I will definitely be able to avenge Shuer." Millennium Killer mentioned Su Yang, obviously full of confidence in Su Yang. Now, because she suddenly noticed just now that there were signs of life in this pool of blood. Could it be that Su Yang is not dead? Stop. Isn't Wang Yangming the first Taoist? His image has always been very positive. Why did he do this? At this moment, he panicked. Why did Wang Yangming appear in Zhifeng Mountain? What is he doing here? Millennium Killer looked at Wu Qingying with tearful eyes, turned back 3 times with each step, and finally walked out with grief on his face. What?